All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Senate Committee on Finance and Assembly Ways and Means Subcommittee on Public Safety, Natural Resources, and Transportation. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Assemblywoman Miller,
Here.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Here.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Here.
Assemblywoman Titus, Assemblywoman Tolles.
No, I'm here. Sorry.
Thank you. Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Assemblyman Watts,
Here.
Senator Brooks,
Here.
Senator Goycochea,
I'm here.
Chair Dennis.
Here, thank you. We do have a quorum, everyone's here. With that, a couple reminders that we will be taking public comment at the end. Public comment limited to 2 minutes. And if you wish to connect, there's several ways through Nellis. You can come in, or through, you can also watch it on YouTube. But if you do wish to speak, you need to go in through Nellis and register, and they'll give you the link for that. So with that, we've got several budget closings today. We are going to be doing the Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training and Department of Public Safety. So with that, we are going to go ahead and start with the Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training.
Mr. Chair, this is Brody Leiser with the Fiscal Analysis Division. Do you want to take a brief recess so we can get the closing documents
Yes.
loaded up on Nellis and give members time to print if they wish?
Yes, I'm sorry. I thank you for the reminder. Yeah, we need to take probably, let's say maybe 10 minutes. It usually takes a little bit of time to get everybody to print it out. So let's say 10 minutes. So right now it's, well, let's say 10 after. So that's like 9 minutes. So, and we'll check in with everybody in 9 minutes, make sure you realize. Do we want to include that? Well, you should have gotten it. So see if you have any issues, come back on and let us know, and we'll make sure you can get a copy of that.
Deputy Director Lola.
So we'll be in a pause for till 10 after.
Thank you, Chair Dennis. I believe you are live to the broadcast now and may reconvene whenever you're ready.
Great, thank you. All right, so everyone should have that, and it's for those that are listening or watching, it's available on Nellis, and you can either pull it up or print it out. We're going to start with the Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the subcommittee. James Malone, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division for the record. This morning, there are a total of 23 budget accounts scheduled on the agenda, 1 for the Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training, and 22 for the Department of Public Safety. 9 budgets the subcommittee has previously heard, and 14 budgets fiscal staff is responsible for developing recommendations. The first budget on the agenda is 1013774, the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission, and begins on page 3. There is one major closing issue, and that is the Data and Records Management System modernization. The governor recommends $47,200 in board assessments over the 21-23 biennium to fund the replacement and consolidation of services for multiple legacy data and record management systems into one comprehensive system. According to the agency, the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission has utilized 3 separate data and record management systems for approximately 15 years and reports the legacy systems, as detailed on the table on page 4, are obsolete, lacks the ability to interface with other systems, and experiences system failures that could result in the loss or corruption of records. Precision Document Imaging is the solution provider the agency identified that would consolidate the functionality of the 3 legacy systems into one system. According to the agency, the initial implementation, which includes installation, data migration, and testing, would cost $38,900 in fiscal year 2022 and would be completed within 9 months. Annual maintenance costs are $8,300 and would begin in fiscal year 2023. Fiscal staff would note there is a technical adjustment. Maintenance costs associated with the legacy systems would no longer be incurred once the new system is implemented. If approved, fiscal staff recommends a technical adjustment, removing maintenance service costs for the replaced legacy systems. This would result in a reduction of $15,590 in core assessment revenue in fiscal year 2023. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend a modernization of the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission's Data and Records Management Systems funding with $47,200 in core assessment revenue over the 21-23 biennium, and provides fiscal staff with the authority to make the noted technical adjustment to reduce maintenance costs in fiscal year 2023 for the legacy systems, resulting in a reduction of $15,590 in core assessment revenue.
Thank you. Any questions? Not seeing any. Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Assemblywoman Miller.
Chair, I recommend that we accept the recommendation. I move that we accept the recommendation to modernize the modernization of post data and records management system funding with $47,200 in court assessments revenue over the 2021-23 biennium, and provide fiscal staff the authority to make the noted technical adjustment to reduce maintenance costs in FY 2023 for the legacy system, resulting in a reduction of $15,590 in court assessment revenue.
Thank you. A motion.
Second.
Second by Senator Brooks. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in, let's do the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, thank you. Motion passes. Let's go to the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. James Malone, LCB Fiscal for the record. There are 3 other closing items as detailed in the table on page 5. Fiscal staff recommends all other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make other technical adjustments necessary.
Okay, any questions? Hearing none. Assemblywoman
Chair.
Miller?
I move that that we take the recommendations as necessary.
Second.
We have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second by Senator Brooks. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Secretary, please call the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so let's go to the next budget, which is the Division of Emergency Management.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission. Staff will continue to the Department of Public Safety, beginning with budget account 1013673, the Division of Emergency Management. And this begins on page 7 of the packet. There is one major issue. The division transferred to the Office of the Military. The governor recommends the Division of Emergency Management transfer from the Department of Public Safety to the Office of the Military. According to the agency, the transfer would align state resources and provide strategic advantages in approaching planning for emergencies or disasters. In addition, the agency indicated the transfer would allow the agency to work directly with the Department of Administration and the governor's finance office for budget-related matters, hiring personnel, and IT-related issues. During the March 9th, 2021 hearing, the subcommittee questioned how the alignment would benefit the state going forward, which the agency responded the alignment would provide a streamlined approach of requesting resources from the National Guard, such as staffing, long-term planning, and logistics. Fiscal staff would note, pursuant to NRS 480.130, the Division of Emergency Management is established within the Department of Public Safety. In order to execute the transfer, a bill draft request 218-6542760 has been submitted by the governor's finance office for consideration. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend the approval of the Division of Emergency Management transfer to the Office of the Military, contingent on passage and approval of enabling legislation?
Discussion or questions? Not seeing any.
Chair,
Yes,
Chair, I move that the subcommittee accepts the recommendations for the approval of the Division of Emergency Management transfer to the Office of the Military, contingent on passage and approval of enabling legislation.
thank you. Have a motion.
Second.
Second by Senator Brooks. Further discussion on the motion? Senator Goycochea, did you raise your hand? I couldn't tell.
No, sir. I'm just looking at the notes. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. All right. Seeing none, the secretary will take the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller, Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, thank you. All right, motion passes. Yeah, let's go to the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. James Malone, LCD Fiscal for the record. There are 3 other closing items as detailed in the table on page 9. Fiscal staff recommends all other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. Assemblywoman Miller?
Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation to close all of the closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Second.
I have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second from Senator Brooks. Further discussion? Secretary, please call the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, motion passes. All right, let's go to the next budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next budget, 2014706, the Department of Public Safety Director's Office, begins on page 11. There are no major closing issues. There are 4 other closing items as detailed in the table on page 12. Fiscal staff recommends all other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you. Any questions? Assemblywoman Miller.
Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation to close, that all of the closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and grant authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
We have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second from Senator Brooks. Further discussion on the motion? All right, Secretary, please call the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, and the motion passes. All right, let's go to the next one.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. James Malone, LCB Fiscal for the record. Budget account 1013743, the Department of Public Safety Investigation Division begins on page 13 of the packet. There is one major issue. This is the shortfall in the Safe Voice Program Call Center. The governor recommends the Safe Voice Program Call Center be funded with $1.4 million in tobacco settlement funds and $31,492 in Pacific Institute for Research and Evaluation, also known as PIRE grant funds over the 21-23 biennium. However, based on the review by fiscal and agency staff, the structure for funding the Safe Voice Program Call Center submitted in the executive budget has errors, resulting in a funding shortfall. In the middle of page 4, fiscal staff has provided a list of bullet points detailing the identified errors. These errors include incorrectly budgeting available PIRE grants and tobacco settlement funds and omitting a currently filled administrative assistant position in error. During the February 11, 2021 hearing, the subcommittee expressed concerns regarding the budgetary issues and requested a budget amendment be submitted by the agency through the governor's finance office for consideration. The governor's finance office submitted 3 budget amendments. The first budget amendment is detailed in the last paragraph on page 14. This budget amendment was submitted by the governor's finance office on March 24, 2021, and recommends an increase of $94,757 in PIRE grant funds, a reduction of $435,338 in tobacco settlement funds, a reduction of $34,812 in general fund appropriations, and an increase of $3,990 in Division of Emergency Management transfers over the 21-23 biennium to balance revenues with expenditures according to their appropriate funding source. The next budget amendment begins on the top of page 15 and was submitted by the governor's finance office on March 24, 2021. Recommends an increase to $55,671 in PIRE grant funding over the 21-23 biennium to fund an administrative assistant position that was omitted from the executive budget in error. And finally, the last budget amendment submitted by the governor's finance office on March 25th, 2021 recommends an increase of $232,775 in tobacco settlement funds over the 21-23 biennium, and $131,835 general fund appropriation in fiscal year 2023 to provide funding for the Safe Waste Program Call Center over the 21-23 biennium. Staff has provided a table on page 15, which represents the Safe Waste Program Call Center funding structure in the executive budget and the cumulative impacts to the funding structure with the provided budgetary amendments. With the submitted budget amendments, the recommendation to fund the Safe Waste Program Call Center over the 21-23 biennium appear reasonable. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of budget amendments A214723743, A215063743, and A215073743, which funds an omitted administrative assistant position in fiscal year 2022, balances revenues to appropriate expenditures over the 21-23 biennium, and covers a funding gap for the Safe Waste Program Call Center with general fund appropriations in fiscal year 2023.
Okay, do we have any questions? If not, Assemblywoman Miller?
Chair, I move that the committee accepts the recommendation for the approval of the budget amendments as detailed by fiscal staff, which funds an omitted administrative assistant position in FY 2022, balances revenues to appropriate expenditures over the 2021-23 biennium, and covers a funding gap for the Safe Waste Program with general fund appropriation in FY 2023.
I have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second from Senator Brooks. Further discussion? All right, Secretary, please call roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, motion passes. Let's go to the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. James Malone, LCB Fiscal. There are three other closing items for this budget account detailed in the table on page 16. Fiscal staff recommends all other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, Assemblywoman Miller.
Chair, I move that the committee accepts the recommendation for the closing items to be closed as recommended by the governor and grant for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
We have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller,
Second.
second from Senator Brooks. Further discussion? Seeing none, Secretary, please call the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, motion passes. Okay, let's go to the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Budget account 1014702, the Department of Public Safety. Records, Communications and Compliance Division, Communications Bureau begins on page 17. There is one major issue, a new program officer position for the Spillman Records Management System. The governor recommends $153,988 in cost allocation reimbursements over the 21-23 biennium to fund the addition of the Program Officer 1 position and associated costs to assist in the administration of the Spillman Records Management System. According to the agency, Spillman provides service to over 2,000 users and 40 agencies statewide and is administered by one Program Officer 3. When the Program Officer 3 is on leave, the agency relies on technical support from the vendor at a cost or postpones resolution until the Program Officer 3 returns. The recommended Program Officer position would provide additional coverage and support to the existing Program Officer 3 and create an avenue of succession training for the Spillman system. During the March 9th, 2021 hearing, the subcommittee expressed concerns about the cost sharing of the ongoing maintenance and salary costs to administer the Spillman system, which the agency responded the recommended position would be funded through cost allocations assessed to other Department of Public Safety divisions. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of a new Program Officer 1 position to assist in the administration of the Spillman's Records Management System, which would result in an increase of $153,988 in cost allocation reimbursements over the 21-23 biennium?
Questions? Councilwoman Miller?
Chair, I recommend that the subcommittee accepts the.
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis,
Yes, and the motion passes. We go to the next item.
Out in the table on page 19, fiscal staff recommends all other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make necessary experience. The recommended program officer position would be available to assist in conducting background checks and supervisory duties when required, and provide the agency with a position that would give candidates an opportunity to develop the necessary experience. The table provided on page 22 of your packet details the current staffing for the Brady Point of Contact background check unit with a short job description. The agency reports 185,629 firearm background checks were conducted in calendar year 2020, which is an increase of 83,533 or 81.8% more than the 102,096 background checks conducted in calendar year 2019. The background check unit worked a total of 1,984.6 hours of overtime in fiscal year 2020, which is an increase of 951.3 hours or 92.1% when compared to the 1,033 hours of overtime worked in fiscal year 2019. During the March 9th, 2021 budget hearing, the subcommittee expressed current concerns on whether the background check workload levels continue over the 21-23 biennium and whether the recommended position would help address the long wait times for a firearm background check. In response, the agency indicated although they are hopeful workloads would decrease, they are actively seeking opportunities to mitigate the high work volumes, such as acquiring additional federal funding to support increased staffing levels. In addition, the agency indicated the Nevada Criminal Justice Information System Modernization Project would provide additional process improvements to decrease delays in background checks by providing an online portal where FFLs would have the ability to submit background check requests electronically. Fiscal staff would note there is a technical adjustment in the middle of page 23. If approved, the decision unit includes in-state travel expenditures, which the agency indicated there would be no travel expected for this position. Fiscal staff recommends a technical adjustment to eliminate the in-state travel, which would result in an increase of $3,362 in reserve funding over the 2021-23 biennium. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of a new Program Officer 1 position for the Brady Point of Contact background check units, including the noted technical adjustment to eliminate the in-state travel, $3,362, with an equal increase in reserves over the 21-23 biennium?
Any questions? If not, Councilwoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the subcommittee accepts the recommendation for the approval of new program officer position for the Brady Point of Contact background unit, or check unit included the noted technical adjustment to eliminate in-state travel of $3,362 with an equal increase in reserves over the 2021-23 biennium.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second from Senator Brooks. Further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Secretary, please do the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Moreau-Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes. Motion passes. Let's go to the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. James Malone, LCD Fiscal for the record. The second major closing issue begins on page 23. And this is the addition of 2 administrative assistant 2 positions for the criminal records unit. The governor recommends $205,641 in court assessment revenue over the 21-23 biennium to fund the addition of 2 administrative assistant positions to assist the criminal records unit. According to the agency, the criminal records unit is unable to remain current with disposition entry into the computerized criminal history system, which is creating a 2 to 4 week backlog of disposition entry and a backlog of fingerprint cards that require filing. The agency indicated the recommendation of 2 administrative assistant positions is intended to provide the criminal records unit the capacity to adjust the backlog of current disposition entries, to provide enough capacity to enter all current dispositions and the filing of fingerprint cards in a timely manner. As reported by the agency, the criminal records unit receives on average 5,261 dispositions monthly, and current staffing levels can enter approximately 4,675 dispositions into the computerized criminal history system and 4,877 dispositions into the FBI's 111 database. According to the agency, the criminal records unit must manually enter disposition information into the state computerized criminal history system and the FBI system. Based on the averages reported by the agency, fiscal staff estimates an approximate 586 dispositions for the computerized criminal history system and 384 dispositions for the FBI fingerprint card maintenance and the scanning of documents into various systems. Fiscal staff would note there is a technical adjustment at the bottom of page 24. This decision includes funding to increase reserves, which the agency indicated was included by mistake and should be eliminated. If approved, fiscal staff recommends a technical adjustment dollars in court assessment revenue over the 2021-23 biennium. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of the addition of 2 administrative assistant 2 positions to assist the criminal records unit, including the noted technical adjustment to eliminate the reserve increase, resulting in a reduction of $2,690 for assessment revenue over the 2021-23 biennium?
Questions? Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the subcommittee accepts the recommendation for the approval of the addition of administrative assistant 2 positions to assist the criminal records unit, included the noted technical adjustment to eliminate the reserve increase, resulting in a reduction of $2,690 in court assessment revenue over the 2021-23 biennium.
Thank you.
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes. Thank you. The motion passes. Let's go to the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. James Malone, LCB Fiscal for the record. The third major closing issue on page 5 of your packet. And this is 1 new management analyst 3 position for the fiscal unit. The governor recommends $50,182 in court assessment revenue and $151,104 in fingerprint and background check fee revenues over the 21-23 biennium to fund the addition of a management analyst 3 position to assist the fiscal unit. According to the agency, the fiscal unit does not have sufficient budgetary backup support for its current administrative services officer 3 position. Currently, the fiscal unit consists of one administrative services officer responsible for building and managing the budget and overseeing the fiscal unit, one management analyst 2 responsible for managing contracts and any facility building issues, one accountant technician 2, and one accountant technician 1, whose responsibilities include accounts receivable and accounts payable. The management analyst 3 would assist the administrative services officer with developing budgets, oversight of the fiscal unit, training of employees, developing presentations, and maintaining records. During the March 9th, 2021 hearing, subcommittee questioned what duties were not being addressed from lack of budgetary personnel resources. In response, the agency indicated the administrative services officer is the only budget personnel on staff, and the recommended management analyst 3 would provide a plan for succession in the event the administrative service officer leaves. Fiscal staff would note this decision unit also includes an increase of reserves and error, and if approved, recommends a technical adjustment to eliminate, resulting in a decrease of $848 in board assessment revenue and $2,553 in fingerprint and background check fees over the 2021-23 biennium. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of a new management analyst 3 position for the fiscal unit, including the noted technical adjustment to eliminate the reserve increase, resulting in a reduction of $848 in board assessment revenue and $2,553 in fingerprint and background check fees over the 2021-23 biennium?
Okay. Questions? Not seeing any. Miller. Sorry, Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the subcommittee accept the recommendation of the approval of a new management analyst 3 position for the fiscal unit with technical adjustment to eliminate the reserve increase for the 2023 biennium.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, second, even though I think part of it was cut off, but I think we heard the motion. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, Secretary, please do a roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, motion passes. Let's go on to the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. James Malone, LCB Fiscal for the record. Major closing issue 4 begins on page 26 of your packet. Budget amendment A214404709 was submitted by the Governor's Finance Office on March 19th, 2021, and recommends the utilization of $60,399 in reserves over the 21-23 biennium to reclassify a current criminal justice records management or manager position to an unclassified position. According to the agency, the criminal justice records manager position, which was approved during the 2019 legislative session to provide oversight of the Nevada Criminal Justice Information System Modernization Project Program Management Office, should be an unclassified position to align with other state positions with similar duties and responsibilities. In addition, the agency indicates the reclassification would provide the Records Communications and Compliance Division the ability to attract, appoint, and retain properly skilled incumbents. During the 2019 legislative session, the Criminal Justice Records Manager position was approved as a classified position at grade 43. However, the agency indicates, based on discussions with the Division of Human Resource Management, the DMV Director, the Director of Smart 21, and the Governor's Finance Office, the Administrator of the Nevada Criminal Justice Information System Modernization Project compensation and position type should align with other like positions, such as the Director of Smart 21 and the Administrator of the DMV STAR project. Staff has provided a table on page 26, which details the type and annual salary for the comparable positions per the Division of Human Resource Management's pay policy. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of the reclassification of the Criminal Justice Records Manager to an unclassified position to align with other positions within the state in similar roles as recommended in Budget Amendment A2144044709? If the unclassified position is recommended by the subcommittee, the salary will be reviewed and considered by the money committees for inclusion in the unclassified section of the 2021-23 pay bill.
Okay, questions. I think Assemblywoman Miller has a question.
I do. Thank you, Chair. On this recommendation, I don't recall that we had a presentation or that this was part of any hearing. So this was as part of the budget amendment, if that's correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so if this was submitted after the fact as an amendment, I have concerns over any time we're changing positions from classified to unclassified. And so, you know, some of those concerns are, I mean, first, this was approved just last session as a classified position. And we know with classified positions, there are certain protections that are, you know, that come with being a classified position as opposed to unclassified. And I also have some questions and concerns about this would also cause a significant increase in salary for if someone's in that current position. So is there someone maybe from the department that could speak on this, why it was entered later as an amendment? And if there's any type of, I mean, we're not doing this obviously for cost savings, but if I could just get a better understanding of why we're switching approved classified positions to unclassified positions.
Yeah, I believe we have someone here from public safety staff. They could address that issue.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Hi, good morning. For the record, Mindy McKay, I'm the Division Administrator of the Records, Communications, and Compliance Division. Thank you for your question. The understanding is that we had talks during the 2019 legislative session, whereas it was too late to place this as a program, an unclassified program administrator in alignment with other similar projects such as the DMV project and the Smart 21 project, whereas they have positions that are unclassified program administrators that would align with what we do with our NCJIS modernization program. During those discussions, it was agreed upon that in conjunction with DERM, that the position really should be an unclassified program administrator to align with that and also to align with the responsibilities and the duties specific to the NCJIS modernization program. However, it was too late for us to submit that during the 2019 legislative session. So we were going to go back and put that in here now. Unfortunately, it didn't get in there in time, and so that's why there was an amendment later on. But it was agreed upon by all of the parties involved in those discussions that it should be an unclassified at that level.
Follow up, Chair?
Yes, please.
So I guess my question that's understandable is I understand missing the date during 2019, but I guess I'm questioning why when we had opportunities during this session, why it wasn't brought up and why it was brought in as an amendment.
Mindy McKay for the record. I'm not sure if Mr. Malone would like to answer that, just to make sure that I am accurate in my assessment of what did occur. We did want to put this in there, and for some reason it did not make it in until we had to do an amendment.
Is Mr. Malone there somewhere?
Yes, thank you for the question. It's my understanding that—
Make sure you identify. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, this decision unit was included in the agency requested submitted budget account, but did not initially make it into the governor's recommended budget. Based on conversations that the agency had with the governor's finance office, it was determined at a later date that it would be included. So they submitted it on the budget amendment that's being considered today.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Gokachia.
Yes, I'd just like to take a follow-up to that. It also piqued my interest. Now, we're talking about this program manager actually oversees 19 people. How about the DMV system technology manager and the other Smart 21? Are they similar number of employees they are actually overseeing or working?
James Malone, LCP Fiscal, for the record. I don't have that information available for you at this time. I could follow up, or if you give me a moment, I might be able to look into it.
I just wanted to make sure they were comparable. Thank you.
Do we know if Ms. McKay can answer that question?
The DMV program administrator is similarly situated with the staff such as ours. I would have to get the org chart though to confirm that. And then as far as Smart 21, I would have to get the org chart to confirm that for you as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions? If not, Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the subcommittee accepts the recommendation, Chair, I move that the subcommittee accepts the recommendation for the approval of the reclassification of the criminal justice records management to an unclassified position to align with other positions within the state in similar roles as recommended in Budget Amendment A2144044709. If the unclassified position is recommended by the subcommittee, this also means the salary will be reviewed and considered by the money committees for inclusion in the unclassified section of the 2021-23 pay bill.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, a second from Senator Brooks. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, Secretary, please call the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, motion passes. Let's go to the next item.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. James Malone, LCP Fiscal, for the record. There are 3 other closing items detailed in the table on page 27. Fiscal staff would bring to your attention to other closing item number 4. This is the Programmer Developer Hours Contingency Authority. The governor recommends the utilization of $578,262 of reserves to provide the Records, Communication, and Compliance Division with a 20% increase to Enterprise Information Technology Services Programmer Developer Service hours to address any new or unknown programming requirements that may occur over the 2021-23 biennium. However, because these service hours are based on what may occur as opposed to issues that have been identified, fiscal staff recommends decision unit E355 not be approved and requests the agency submit work programs for consideration by the governor and the interim finance committee over the 21-23 biennium to address any additional each programmer developer server hour requirements when known issues are identified. Regarding other closing item number 5, fiscal staff recommends a technical adjustment to the base budget to eliminate a reserve for reversion to the general fund that was included in error, resulting in an increase of $1,802 in reserves over the 2021-23 biennium. Fiscal staff recommends other closing items 1 through 3 be closed as recommended by the governor, other closing item 4 not be approved, and other closing item 5 be closed with the noted technical adjustments, and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Okay. Do we have questions? Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the committee accepts the recommendation for other closing items 1 through 3 to be closed as recommended by the governor, other closing item 4 not to be approved, and other closing item 5 be closed with the noted technical adjustment, and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you. Uh-oh.
Second. Discussion?
Screen go dead. I'm not sure.
Discussion?
Can you hear me now? My screen went completely dead.
Discussion, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sorry. So we first of all we had a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, and I believe a second from Senator Brooks before I lost my screen. Okay, now we're back. Discussion on the motion. Assemblywoman Titus.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to get your attention before we had the motion, just for some clarity on this one, but it's fine. It can happen here, and I appreciate the opportunity. So if the consequences of not approving number 4, this money, then I guess the objection was that they based an amount on the 20% increase that they didn't really document was a need. But what about the other funds then? What happens if we don't approve this? Will this have an impact on the department?
Okay, so let's get that answered. Let's go. So the motion that was made, we're going to wait on that, go back to discussion.
Thank you.
So that we can have this discussion. So Mr. Malone, can you answer that?
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Titus, for the question. The repercussions of not approving this enhancement decision unit would move the reserves back to reserve funding. So it's still within the budget account. If they want to utilize those funds for needs that come up during the interim, they would just have to submit a work program for consideration by the governor and the interim finance committee.
So there'd be no immediate impact on the function of that, the program developer services and those type of things. We still, because we certainly need that. What the objection is that they increase their hours by 20%, and we haven't really they haven't really shown a need for that component, but the rest is still there. So I just wanted to make sure we were able to cover what the department needs, especially with the programming development programmer. They won't immediately not be able to fund that position.
So that is correct. So it isn't a position, it's service hours through ease. So it isn't a position. They do have their base budget hours already within their budget account, which is based on the base year, fiscal year 2020, which is a 10% increase when compared to what was legislatively approved in 2019. So operationally, the agency has enough authority to maintain operations going forward. This just puts the funding, if it's not approved, back into the reserve. In case something does occur, such as a federal mandate, they would still have the opportunity to submit to utilize these fundings for those programmer hours.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for the questions, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the clarification, Mr. Malone.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go back to a motion. We have a motion that was made from Assemblywoman Miller, seconded by Senator Brooks, and now we are in a discussion on the motion. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's go to the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, the motion passes. Let's go to the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. James Malone, LCD Fiscal for the record. Next budget account is 7104727, Department of Public Safety, Capitol Police, and this begins on page 29 of your packet. There is one major issue, and this is the addition of a new administrative assistant position. The governor recommends $119,813 in transfers from the Department of Administration, Buildings and Grounds Division, offset by reductions of $15,289 in dignitary protection service charges, for a total of $104,524 over the 21-23 biennium to fund a new administrative assistant 2 position. This fiscal staff would note the offset of dignitary protection service charges is a budgeting error, and fiscal staff recommends, if approved, a technical adjustment to correct the funding to a total of $104,524 in buildings and grounds transfers over the 21-23 biennium. According to the agency, the division is currently utilizing a contracted temporary employee to perform administrative duties, funded through vacancy savings and cost cutting to perform administrative tasks. The administrative assistant would be responsible for clerical and administrative support, such as file maintenance, answering the telephone, composing documents, and maintaining data records in the management system, inventory of assets, operating the emergency notification database, scheduling travel and training, and assisting with purchasing and other fiscal related duties. On March 23rd, 2021, the governor's finance office submitted a budget amendment recommending an additional $17,442 in buildings and grounds transfers in fiscal year 2022 to fund the current temporary administrative assistant position to provide 3 months of coverage for the agency to recruit and 1 month of overlap to train. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of the new administrative assistant position, the noted technical adjustment to correct the funding to a total of $104,524 in buildings and grounds transfers over the 21-23 biennium, and budget amendment A21441427 to provide 4 months of contracted administrative support while the requested administrative assistant position is being filled and trained.
Questions? Not seeing any. Okay, Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the subcommittee accepts the recommendation for the approval of a new administrative assistant position, the noted technical adjustment to correct the funding for a total of $104,524 in buildings and grounds transfers over the 2021-23 biennium, and budget amendment A21441427 to provide 4 months of contracted administrative support while the requested administrative assistant position is being filled and trained.
Thank you. We have a second from Senator
Second, Mr. Chair.
Second from Senator Brooks. So a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second from Senator Brooks. Further discussion on the motion? Not seeing any. All right, go to the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes. Let's go to the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are 5 other closing items. Other closing items 1 through 4 are detailed in the table on page 31 of your packets. Regarding other closing item 5, the governor recommends a continuation of the Nevada Shared System Radio Project, which is funded with general fund appropriations, highway fund appropriations, and other various funds from participating agencies. The cost portion for the Capitol Police is $162,491 over the 21-22 biennium, which is $112,325 higher than the $50,166 currently budgeted. Fiscal staff recommends a technical adjustment, increasing the amount budgeted for the Nevada Shared Radio System Replacement Project to align with the cost share amounts provided by the Nevada Department of Transportation, resulting in an increase of $90,930 in buildings and grounds transfers and $21,395 in dignitary protection transfers over the 21-23 biennium. Fiscal staff recommends other closing items 1 through 4 be closed as recommended by the governor. Other closing item 5 with the noted technical adjustments, and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Do you have any questions on this item? Not seeing any. Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the committee accepts the recommendations for other closing items 1 through 4 be closed as recommended by the governor, other closing item 5 with the noted technical adjustment, and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Second.
So we have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second from Senator Brooks. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we can do the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes?
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, thank you. Motion carries. Let's go on to the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Budget account 2014713, the Department of Public Safety, Nevada Highway Patrol Division, begins on page 33 of your packet. There is one major issue, and this is the addition of a Department of Public Safety major for the Nevada Highway Patrol headquarters. Governor recommends a $114,830 highway fund appropriation over the 21-23 biennium to fund the reclassification of the vacant DPS Officer 2 position to Department of Public Safety major position. According to the agency, due to increasing vehicle registrations, bringing more drivers to Nevada highways in both urban and rural areas, the 3 current Department of Public Safety majors stationed at Southern Command, Northern Command West, and Northern Command East, as well as the Chief of the Highway Patrol, require additional administrative support in order to shift their focus to the 24/7 operational duties of their respective commands and headquarters. The table provided on page 34 of the packet provides an overview of the number of personnel stationed at the Nevada Highway Patrol headquarters in each respective command. According to the agency, the requested Department of Public Safety major position would be stationed at the Nevada Highway Patrol headquarters in Carson City and would be assigned to oversee administrative matters for the entire division, to include, but not limited to, the operations of headquarters, fiscal, fleet, and the research and development units. In addition, the agency indicated the headquarters major would directly manage 2 captains, 3 lieutenants, 1 sergeant, 1 DPS officer 2, and 2 administrative service officers, and would allow existing Department of Public Safety majors to focus on overseeing the operations of their commands. During the March 9th, 2021 hearing, the agency testified because of the rank structure established within the Nevada Highway Patrol, the DPS major position was selected to serve as an equivalent counterpart to the other Department of Public Safety majors stationed at their respective commands. Fiscal staff would note, although the legislature may approve the reclassification request, the Department of Administration, Division of Human Resource Management, pursuant to NAC 284.126, has the authority to review the necessary reclassification forms and make the determination on whether the position classification recommended is appropriate. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of $114,830 in highway fund appropriations over the 2021-23 biennium to reclassify a vacant DPS Officer 2 position to DPS Major to provide additional oversight of the Nevada Highway Patrol headquarters, contingent on the approval of the reclassification from the Division of Human Resource Management?
Any questions on this item?
Yes, Chair, I have a question.
Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you. Again, I still have the same concerns as before about any time we're taking classified positions and reclassifying them. Is this so I understand we have 2 DPS officer positions. So the reclassification would make them, is it just a reclassification going from an officer to a major, or is this unclassifying them? Or is this just changing from officer to major, but they will remain as classified as the position currently is?
But Mr. Malone, can you answer that, or do we need to get?
Yes, I can respond to that.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Assemblywoman Miller. This request takes, from my understanding, is a vacant DPS officer position, so there currently isn't an incumbent, which is a classified position, and is reclassifying it to the Department of Public Safety major position, which is also a classified position. So it would be going from a classified to another classified position.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions on this item? Okay, Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the committee accepts the recommendation for the approval of $114,830 in highway fund appropriations over the 2021 biennium to reclassify a vacant DPS officer 2 position to a DPS major to provide additional oversight of the Nevada Highway Patrol headquarters, contingent on the approval of the reclassification from the Division of Human Resource Management.
Thank you. We have a motion.
Second.
A second from Senator Brooks. Just a correction, because I believe you intended to say over the 2021-23 biennium. Is that correct?
I most certainly did intend to say that. Not sure what I did say, but that's what I intended to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think you said 2021. I want to make sure we were not talking about that biennium, but the 21-23 biennium. Yeah. So, okay, we have a motion. Any discussion? Okay, we will have a roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, thank you. The motion passes. Let's move on to the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. James Malone, OCG Fiscal for the record. There are 6 other closing items detailed in the table on page 35. Fiscal staff recommends all other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Any questions on that item? Assemblywoman Miller.
Chair, I move that the committee accepts the recommendation for all other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second from Senator Brooks. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, we'll go to the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, motion passes. So let's go to the next budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Budget account 1014705, the Nevada Highway Patrol K-9 program begins on page 37. There is one major issue. This is the expansion of the K-9 program. The governor recommends $55,074 in federal forfeiture transfers to fund the expansion of the Nevada Highway Patrol's K-9 program from 6 K-9 units to 11 K-9 units. According to the agency, there has been a significant increase in the amount of drug seizures over the past 2 years in both Las Vegas and Reno, which require additional K-9 resources to solidify reasonable suspicion necessary to conduct a probable cause search of vehicles on the highway. In addition, the Department of Public Safety would like to add a bomb detection K-9 in Carson City in response to protests occurring at the state legislature, governor's mansion, and Reno City Hall last year, and increased threats identified by the FBI, and a new arson detection K-9 to assist the Fire Marshal Division in reducing the investigative time spent identifying the original source of the fire at a state building. Currently, the Nevada Highway Patrol has a total of 6 working K-9s, 2 drug detection K-9s, and 1 bomb detection K-9 in Southern Nevada, and 3 drug detection K-9s in Northern Nevada. The table provided on page 38 of the closing packet details the current number and type of K-9 units, the governor's recommended expansion, and the total number if approved. At the top of page 9, fiscal staff has provided a breakdown of one-time costs such as vehicle inserts and K-9 housing, and ongoing costs such as supplies and K-9 food recommended to acquire the K-9s. According to the agency, the K-9s themselves would be donated through a third-party entity or another law enforcement agency. There is a technical adjustment recommendation. Fiscal staff would note the base budget includes ongoing operating costs for 8 K-9s. However, the agency only has 6 operational K-9s currently. Fiscal staff recommends a technical adjustment reducing the ongoing cost for the K-9s by 2, which would result in a reduction of $7,908 in federal forfeiture transfers over the 21-23 biennium. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of the expansion of the Nevada Highway Patrol's K-9 program by 5 additional K-9 units with the technical adjustment to reduce the ongoing operating expenditures by 2 K-9s accounted for in the base budget?
Do we have any questions on this item? Senator Gokachia.
Yes, just real quickly, and this is not really pertaining to the budget, but I am concerned about it. Looks like these K-9 units are going to continue to be in the Northern Command here in Carson and the Southern Command. I am concerned about not having the ability out in rural Nevada. We're just going to force these people to take the rural routes and bring the drugs through that side that doesn't have the other supervision. Just a comment.
Thank you. Good point. Okay, any further questions? If not, Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the committee accepts the recommendation for the approval of the expansion of the Nevada Highway Patrol's K-9 program by 5 additional K-9 units with the technical adjustment to reduce the ongoing operating expenditures by 2 K-9s accounted for in the base budget.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, a second from Senator Brooks. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yes.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, thank you. Motion passes. We'll go on to the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Other closing item number 1 is detailed in the table, the bottom of page 39. Regarding other closing item number 2, fiscal staff recommends, with concurrence with the agency, this decision need not be approved. The requested vehicle insert is a duplication already provided in major closing issue 1, the expansion of the K-9 program. Fiscal staff recommends other closing item 1 be closed as recommended by the governor. Other closing item 2 not be approved, and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you. Any questions? on this item? I am not seeing any. Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the committee accepts fiscal staff's recommendation for other closing item 1 be closed as recommended by the governor, other closing item 2 not be approved, and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Second that?
We have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second from Senator Brooks. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll take the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts, Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis,
Yes, motion passes, and I believe Assemblyman Watts is on.
Yes, I had a technical difficulty. You can record my vote as yes. Thank you.
Can we make sure that happens?
yes.
Okay, yeah, it looked like you were having probably a little technical glitch there, so I was waiting to see if you'd get back on in time. Okay, great, thank you. Motion passes. We will move on to the next item.
Mr. Chair, I will now begin presenting the budgets which the subcommittee has not previously reviewed for the Department of Public Safety and for which fiscal staff is responsible for developing closing recommendations. I will pause following my presentation of each budget to allow for questions. When I have presented the last budget in this group and questions have been addressed, the chair may wish to ask for a single motion for closing consideration on all of the budgets for which fiscal staff is responsible for developing recommendations. To begin, the first budget account is 1013674, Department of Public Safety Emergency Management Assistance Grants, and this begins on page 41. This budget serves as a pass-through account for all federal grant funds received by the state for emergency management purposes. There are no major issues or other closing items. I am happy to answer any questions relating to this budget account.
Any questions? I'm not seeing anybody. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Go on.
Account 1013675, Department of Public Safety, Homeland Security begins on page 43. The primary function of the Nevada Office of Homeland Security is to collaborate with various levels of government, private entities, and the general public to prevent, detect, and deter terrorism activity. The budget is operationally integrated with the Division of Emergency Management and is also recommended to be transferred with the Division of Emergency Management to the Office of the Military. There is no major closing issues. In other closing items, fiscal staff recommends, with concurrence with the agency decision unit E710, for the replacement of a laptop computer not be approved because the recommended equipment will not reach its end of life until fiscal year 2024. I am happy to answer any questions regarding this budget account.
Any questions? Not seeing any. Okay, let's go on.
Budget account 1013775, Department of Public Safety Training Division begins on page 45. The training division provides basic academy and continuing education training to law enforcement personnel within the Department of Public Safety, primarily the Nevada Highway Patrol and parole and probation budgets. There are no major closing issues. Other items 1 through 3 are detailed in the table on page 46. Other closing item 4, fiscal staff recommends a technical adjustment with agency concurrence to align the funding split to an average of cadets attending the previous 8 academies, resulting in a reduction of $147,974 in general fund appropriations, offset by an increase in $147,974 in highway fund appropriations over the 21-23 biennium. I am happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, keep going.
Budget account 201-4701, Department of Public Safety Evidence Vault begins on page 47. The evidence vault supports all divisions within the Department of Public Safety by providing secure locations to store regularly seized property, money, and contraband. There are no major closing issues. Other closing items are detailed in the table on page 48. I am happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions? Not seeing any. Please proceed.
Budget account 101-4703, Department of Public Safety Forfeitures Law Enforcement begins on page 49. This budget receives forfeiture funds once adjudicated and provides as a pass-through for local governments and divisions of the Department of Public Safety. There are no major closing issues, and there is one other closing item detailed on the table on page 50. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Budget account 101-4704, the Nevada Office of Cyber Defense Coordination begins on page 51. This budget account is responsible for developing procedures for risk-based assessments that identify cybersecurity risks of information systems and preparing best practices for preparing for and mitigating risks to information systems. There are no major closing issues, and 4 other closing items are detailed on page 52. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Budget account 201-4707, Department of Public Safety, Office of Professional Responsibility begins on page 53. This office is responsible for conducting administrative investigations into complaints alleging misconduct by sworn and civilian Department of Public Safety personnel. There are no major issues. Other closing item 1 is detailed on the page 54. Regarding other closing item 2, according to the Governor's Finance Office, a currently filled Administrative Assistant 2 position was omitted from the budget in error. Fiscal staff recommends a technical adjustment to include the Administrative Assistant in the base budget, resulting in an increase of $110,131 in cost allocation reimbursements of the 21-23 biennium. And I am happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Please.
Budget account 101-4710, Child Volunteer Background Checks Trust account begins on page 55. This budget funds the cost of the central repository to process requests from nonprofit agencies for information on the background of a volunteer who works directly with children. There are no major closing issues or other closing items. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, go ahead, proceed.
Budget account 201-4721 begins on page 57. This budget contains the activities funded through the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Assistance Program for commercial motor vehicle safety enforcement and education programs. There are no major closing issues and 3 other closing items detailed in the table on page 58. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Does not appear to be. Please proceed.
Budget account 101-4708, the Department of Public Safety Justice Assistance account begins on page 59. This budget serves as a pass-through account for federal grants other than the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant received from the U.S. Department of Justice. Grant funds are distributed to state and local government agencies that contribute to the effort of reducing or preventing crime, violence, drug abuse, and improving the criminal justice system. There are no major closing issues or other closing items. I am happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Budget account 101-4734, Department of Public Safety Justice Assistance Grant Trust account begins on page 61. This budget is a pass-through for the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, also referred to as the JAG grant, received from the U.S. Department of Justice and is an interest-bearing account as required by federal law. There are no major closing issues or other closing items. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Budget account 101-4736, Department of Public Safety Justice Grant begins on page 63. This budget account provides for the operations of administering and subgranting federal grant funds from the U.S. Department of Justice to state and local government agencies. There are no major closing issues, and two other closing items detailed in the table on page 64. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Please proceed.
Budget account 101-4737, Department of Public Safety account for re-entry programs begins on page 65. This budget is established in NRS 480.180 and provides the authority for the Department of Public Safety to receive donations, gifts, bequests, and grants to pay for service programs for the re-entry of persons into the community upon their release from incarceration and any necessary administrative costs. There are no major closing issues or other closing items. I am happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, please go on.
All right. Budget account 101-4738 is the Department of Public Safety Dignitary Protection and begins on page 67. The Dignitary Protection budget provides 24 hours, 7 days a week security at the governor's mansion in Carson City and provides security detail for the governor and the members of the first family. There are no major closing issues. Other items 1 through 3 are detailed in the table on page 68. Regarding other closing item 4, fiscal staff recommends a technical adjustment aligning the transfer out of funds to the Capitol Police budget to cover the salary costs for the 4 positions that provide matching detail security and to cover the dignitary protection portion of the Nevada shared radio system, the Department of Public Safety Capitol Police budget, resulting in an increase of $84,805 in general fund appropriations over the 2021-23 biennium. I am happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on this item? Okay, hearing none.
Okay. Summary. As previously noted, fiscal staff is responsible for developing recommendations for the following budgets. And I'm referring to the document on page 69. To assist with the closing, fiscal staff has identified the budgets that are recommended to be closed as recommended by the governor, along with identified technical adjustments that are recommended below. Fiscal staff recommends that the following budgets be closed as recommended by the governor, with technical adjustments noted, and requests authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary. 101-3674, Department of Public Safety Emergency Management Assistance Grants. 101-3675, Department of Public Safety, Homeland Security, including fiscal staff's recommendation in concurrence with the Department of Public Safety to not approve Decision Unit E710 due to current equipment not reaching their 5-year end-of-life schedule until fiscal year 2024. 101-3775, Department of Public Safety Training Division, including a technical adjustment to Decision Unit E500 to align the general fund and the highway fund split to the average attendance of cadets for the previous 8 academies, which would result in a decrease of $147,974 in general fund appropriations, offset by an increase of $147,974 in highway fund appropriations over the 2021-23 biennium. 201-4701, Department of Public Safety Evidence Vault. 101-4703, Department of Public Safety Forfeitures Law Enforcement. 101-4704, Department of Public Safety Nevada Office of Cyber Defense Coordination. 201-4707, Department of Public Safety Office of Professional Responsibility. including a technical adjustment to base to include an administrative assistant 2 position and associated costs funded with $110,131 in cost allocation revenues over the 2021-23 biennium that was omitted from the base budget in error. 1014710, Department of Public Safety Child Volunteer Background Checks Trust Account. 2014721, Department of Public Safety Highway Safety Grants Account. 1014708, Department of Public Safety Justice Assistance Account, or Justice Assistance Act, my apologies. 1014734, Department of Public Safety Justice Assistance Grant Trust Accounts. 1014736, Department of Public Safety Justice Grant. 1014737, Department of Public Safety Account for Reentry Programs, and 1014738, Department of Public Safety Dignitary Protection, including a technical adjustment to the base budget to add general fund appropriations of $84,805 over the 2021-23 biennium to line transfers budgeted with Capitol Police and cover the mansion detail portion for the Nevada Shared Radio System Replacement Project.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? If not, I'm going to go to Assemblywoman Miller for a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the committee accept the fiscal staff's recommendations that the following budgets, as detailed by fiscal staff, be closed as recommended by the governor with the technical adjustments noted, and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you. So we have the list that he just went through, and it's also there in the document on page 69 with all of those. Any Senator Brooks?
I would second that motion. And I'm glad you're not asking me to read that.
To redo it? Yeah, we have a second. So we have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second from Senator Brooks. Is there any discussion on the motion? I am not seeing any discussion. So with that, we will go to the roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Monroe Marino,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Peters,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Titus,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblyman Watts,
Yeah.
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, thank you very much. That is the end of our budget. Is that correct, Mr. Malone?
That is correct. That is it for the agenda.
Great, thank you very much. So that was, we have one other item on our agenda today, and that is public comment. So if we could have BPS open the public comment line and queue up the first caller.
Thank you, Chair Dennis. If you have recently joined the call and would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Once again, we are currently on public comment. If you have joined the call and would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in for public comment at this time.
Sorry, do we have anybody in the queue at all?
Yes, sir. There is one caller, but it appears that they do not wish to provide public comment.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. So with that, we will close public comment. I want to thank staff for the amazing job that they do to help us keep these budgets going. I want to thank the members for their work today. And with that, we have no further items to come before us. So we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.